Happy Thursday. I know usually we air on Wednesdays. However, it's been such a very productive week thus far, full of tons of, I went into like information overload, just researching some stuff yesterday because I have a client that's got something cooking, right? So I will talk more later about being in a 22-month long escrow. More on that when we conclude. So I, of course, was working on that behind the scenes and delivering keys to new owner, making sure, um, sellers are getting their money and they're wired. So, that's, you know, doing real life, real estate stuff, real life real estate stuff. With that being said, welcome to Ready Set Real Estate. I am your show host, creator, and founder, Lisa Gillett, also known as Super Agent, as you can see here. And I, of course, am just ecstatic to just kind of reconnect in these times. I've been getting lots of questions, lots of concerns. And so today's show segment, we're going to talk about pricing and this wave of price adjustments we are starting to see hit our nation. I was going to say the nation, our nation. So we're at episode 165. How much is your home worth today? Listen, if you know of anyone who was on the fence about marketing their property in one of history's just kind of amazing booms, they should tune in. If you're a buyer still looking to get a deal, take advantage, you should tune in and listen, okay? So, of course, press 1 lets me know you're here. Press 2 is the price of admission. And, of course, you guys need to warn me and just be like, Lisa, bring your mic closer. That should be a lot better. Mic check. That should be a lot better. As I do this show segment, I'm not going to do classroom style. We're just going to have an open discussion. So you are more than welcome to tune in and connect. Of course, drop in your comments. If you are catching me on the replay, say hello. Hey. She's like, yeah, a lot. You know what? I was thinking about you yesterday and I was like, I haven't seen your posts. I haven't seen you posting. So wondering if you are all well. Of course, I can always pick up the phone, but I was going, this week has been we've been attempting to close one of our escrows from last Thursday and something just kept coming up like the wire, right? We were like waiting for the wire to go in 3 days and then we had a holiday. So that puts you on edge. It makes you really kind of look at wire fraud in a whole different perspective when you hear wires are being rejected or going to the wrong bank account. It's like, what is going on? Yeah. So of course I'm high energy because it's been one of those weeks. So we are going to do just open discussion. If you hear me drop something that is a gem or is a mic drop, go ahead and drop the mic in the caption below as well. Cindy says, we thought about you too. Eric wants to sell the house and wait for the market. I like this idea. However, I'm concerned that you may have waited too long, like 3 weeks, because rates have gone up. So this is definitely the point of having this discussion because we now have to look at it twofold, right? So do I sell? What does that mean? Am I buying a replacement home? So this is why. Of course, let me give my disclaimer. So do not take or receive the information that I'm presenting on this show as legal or tax advice. Please seek legal counsel regarding your specific situation. Please seek reputable for people in the back, reputable licensed legal professionals and tax advisors regarding your situation. Because of course, when you sell and buy real estate, it does have tax consequences, depending how you took title, depending whether you're renting, depending, right? So again, you want to consult with a professional. You can start here, of course, with us, and we'll refer you out if you need that as a resource. In terms of fancy titles, I'm a broker owner. Devenio Estates is our brokerage here based in Southern California, completely separate from the show, but your common denominator is a moi, me. And I am a pricing strategy advisor. I'm certified in foreclosures, have trainings and all kinds of things. I'm also, guess what? A world class agent trainer. So I do train agents as well. We did put that on pause because of COVID, and then we switched to online. And then now I want to go back to live trainings because I kind of still like the connection. So I'm excited to bring that back. I did share with some of my intimate circles, and I will share that now as well. We are working on our schedule. I just got the green light last week from one of our venue sponsors, which is an escrow company that we work with that has hosted our trainings in the past. She gave me the green light. She said, you know what? Let's move forward with the lives. It appears that we will have to adjust and adapt with COVID. So for those of you who would like to come to the live events, you're more than welcome. So feel free. If you know any agents that can benefit from this information, make sure you say, hey, check her out. Check out that gal called LA Super Agent. She's having her trainings again. Because there has been a lot of changes, all right? Lots of changes to keep abreast and atop of what's going on so that you're better, and I'm speaking to my colleagues, so that you're better informed and you know how to negotiate and you know how to move your clients according to this market. I did a post, and I think I'm going to bring it up so we can have it as a point of discussion, so that we can have a point of discussion about what today's segment is about, okay? And before I do that, of course, I will be right back after this sponsor break. We want to say thank you to Omnis Property Solutions. We'll be right back.
Do you have properties that need to be maintained? For professional services that guarantee your property will stay safe and secure, Omnis Property is the team you want by your side. As a company, we pride ourselves on our best-in-class professionals, equipped with the latest technology for all your end-to-end property preservation needs. That means that from start to finish, our expert team can handle everything from accurate assessments to preservation projects of all sizes. Save money and time by working with leading experts that understand your needs and are committed to premier service. Get started today by contacting us for your project estimate. Visit www.omnispreservation.com or call 310-957-9132.
Can you tell I'm feeling good? I'm feeling great. Yeah, I'm feeling great. Lots of stuff going on. And then, of course, I'm like, oh, I still got to knock up my case briefs. Good news. I have 44 total case briefs to do. I have 8 left. Please root for me. Please keep cheering me on. I do need that just keep going. We need you. Keep going. Because I know I am doing it for the greater good of my community. And I have a fantastic show concept that once I make it to the next level, we are going to do something like out of this world. It's going to be amazing. All right. I'm really excited. I do want to say, I remember, listen, write down your goals. We're in second quarter, 2022. I mean, imagine we're in June. So January, February, March, April, May, June, we're in the end of second quarter. So make sure you're writing those real estate goals. You have to write them down, manifest them, make them come to life, bring it out of the spiritual into the physical realm through the vibration of the pen, right? The vibration of writing it down. Make it real for you. Make it real. Remember to write it down. The subconscious mind does not know the difference between fiction and reality. So use that to your advantage to have the universe conspire to give you whatever it is that you want. And I will affirm it. What is the saying? Where there are two, there I am. So I am affirming it with you. Whatever your heart's desires, that it is affirmed, it is already done. You don't have to keep asking and asking and asking. Just believe it to be done, and it is so. All right? Good stuff. All right, we're on episode 165. How much is your home worth today? I'm going to do a screen share because it's always fun to share my screen. Who saw this post? This is my Facebook page. I'm still under my maiden name, Lisa Puerto. Yes. But I am legally, officially Lisa Gillett. Lisa Gillett, right? I'm still razor sharp. So Lisa Gillett without the E, but I'm still razor sharp. Get it? How much is your home worth today? I did this post March 28th. I posted this. It was late at night, 8:45, and my mind is just watching because I have alerts set up on my markets, certain areas and pockets I'm watching. I have alerts set up, and the alerts that I have show back on markets, BOM, price adjustments, price improvements. What else? Memorial Day sale. So I'm going to read it for our radio podcast listeners, by the way. Shout out to them and thank you for your continued love and support. Really, really appreciate you checking us all out on all our radio podcast platforms everywhere. We are doing a thing. Increased listening audience, increased viewing audience. Just got added to Amazon Music. Woo, woo. And Audible. Love it. So let me dissect this comment here. So I said, this market shift is going to hurt if you're not coaching or priming your clients. Just read a listing remark that said, open quote, Memorial Day sale, 100,000 off listing price. Here's some little context. In fact, my client is now buying this house. It went from $799 to $699, $100,000 off. And guess what? We negotiated, and I just saw her email come through. She just signed the acceptance, and looks like we're buying this same house that she got as a Memorial Day sale with $100,000 off. Let's talk about this thing called phantom money. Hashtag, drop that in the comments below. Hashtag phantom money. Let's talk about this thing called phantom money, y'all. You know why? Because phantom money is something that it appears out of nowhere, and it also can disappear out of nowhere. In fact, here's what's interesting. And you saw that alert come through. If you saw that, it said like near Bodger Park, right? Because I'm watching El Camino area. I'm watching Torrance. So I'm watching the prices on that, right? Because can you imagine those places are like $1 million, like 2-bedroom, 2 baths, like $900,000. And what does that mean as we are watching this market do what it's doing? Okay, let's say how we got here. Let's talk about how we got here. How did we get here? Well, it all started with those interest rates hike. We are anticipating. So notice that the rates, I should say, I won't say notice. Yes, notice. I want you to pay attention. Rates are going to vary with FHA, VA, conventional loan products. Rates are going to vary. Of course, they're going to vary. And then within each of those category type of loans, you have subcategories based on your FICO score, your debt to income ratio, down payment, and all that other stuff that you're putting in there. We are now in an environment of having to buy down the rate. Remember that time, once upon a time, Cindy, you, if you're still on, you were in this time where we were negotiating closing costs so that, you can apply towards maybe a rate buy down. And Eric is just, one of the savviest folks, as I know he watches this. So he's always rate watching as well. So he'll know how to work this to his advantage. I think the bigger concern right now is maximizing your equity position in this market as we are watching a couple things happen. I think the psyche of people is what will make this market take a quicker shift downward than it needs to, because when people see price cuts like 100,000, like a lot of my buyer clients are like, oh, that means that's good for me, right? Yes, that does mean it's good for you. However, prices are adjusting downward in some pockets and areas. It's not affecting everyone as quickly, but I do see across the board nationwide, as the headlines are reading about recession, headlines are reading, of course, this hyperinflation that we are entering or kind of seeing. There is still the true fact that inventory is not quite up yet. So there are a couple things that are happening. Days on market is now extending. We're going from being on the market for one day, right? 24 hours in some areas, less than 6 hours, homes were being sold. So we went from days on market, 1 day, 3 day, 7 day, 10 days, 17 days. Oh no, it's been more. It's 21 days. We're on the market and we're kind of freaking out. So it's really important for two sides of the coin, right? You as a homeowner seller who's looking to maximize your position to understand how long is it taking for properties to move into contract, days on market, right? So we are going to watch our days on market. And I put phantom money here because I'm going to come back to it. I'm still on the same topic. I want to give you context. I'm setting up the play. We have days on market, right? Kind of extending longer for certain areas. Here's where this could be a concern, that if you are not noticing how long it's taking to enter into contract from your list date to your contract date, and you don't see what overall the market is adjusting to, like, borrowers are taking a little bit more time. They have more properties on the market to see. It's not like before where 50 people showed up to an appointment showing. And if you got in, and the rest had to now go look at something else. It was crazy. It was crazy what was happening. It's crazy times. I still have my favorite clip in here. Let me see if I still have my video file, like one of my favorite video files about the market. I'd have to find it somewhere. Oh, so bummed that I don't have it ready. Cue the video. I'll come back to it. So now days of market are expanding to a longer period. Here's why this is important for you. And it's important for your working real estate professional to know this. Because if they say, oh my gosh, we don't have any interest, we don't have any offers, and we've been on the market for 17 days. And then they recommend to you to reduce the price. Well, then you're going to say, well, you should say, what on average has been the days on market before properties enter escrow? If they do their homework and research, they may notice for that particular area, it could be 21 days or 35 days. I literally just had this happen, and I watched every other property that came on the market around us do price adjustments within 7 days and 10 days because they weren't getting the activity. I had primed my client and I said, our days on market is 21 to 35 days, which means it's going to feel like nothing's happening, but we've got to give the market time. And of course, on day 21 for us, no price adjustments. We got a buyer, we got an offer, and we recently closed. So guess what? She didn't have to do something crazy like reduce by 50,000, 25,000 to try to be appealing. See, what is happening is people are trying to now relive the good old days that was 2 months ago, where the craziness was happening. All these buyers were coming, all these multiple offers. That's not what we're experiencing now. So it's important for us to understand DOM, days on market. How long is it now taking for properties to go from list to contract? List date, right? Live on market to contract. Now you're have an accepted offer, opening escrow. Very important. Now let's talk about this thing called price adjustments and how it affects this phantom money. If you do a price adjustment, if you now see or realize a price adjustment and you are agreeing to reduce the price, let's no longer, excuse me, I was just checking messages because like I said, we just accepted an offer. So I'm going to open escrow. Woohoo! We don't want to be in a space and place where we're now trying to relive what we could have sold our property for last week. That's how quickly I'm noticing things are adjusting. The difference between your price and this phantom equity that you would have realized of 20,000, 30,000, 50,000, 60,000 has now been wiped out. It's gone. Oh, don't say it, Lisa. What? I've lost 60,000 in the case of let me listen. Let's go back to this guy right here. In the case of this guy right here, $100,000 off that property. That's gone. The equity they thought they had at 799 is gone. It's no longer. Why? Because numbers don't lie, people do. Is that what Jay-Z said? Numbers don't lie, people do. Meaning, let's look at the facts. Dude, did you get any offers at 799? No. How long have you been on the market? In fact, that property that I'm referring to in this example has been on the market for a little over 2 months. And then they did a price adjustment because no activity, right? So they're in the South LA market looking at the days on market and they go, whoa, we have no offers. Can you believe that I would be talking about this right now? I'm going to timestamp this. We're at June 2022, and I'm talking about houses receiving no offers. Let's marinate on that. What is happening, people? What's happening? Two things. Those rate hikes have wiped out a pool of borrowers that are no longer in the market. Who's buying now at 5 points, 5.375 interest rate? And they are anticipating, the feds are kind of showing us, we expect 2 more rate hikes. Them out there is projecting that we are going to be at 8% in 3 years. I know for some of you may be a little freaked out about that, but put it in context, right? Let's put it in context. 6%, 5%, 8%. Interest rates on your home loan, compare that to your interest rates on your credit card. What are you paying? 16%? Borrow money. 21%. Some of you have variable rates at 23.44, 23.99, 24.99. You have all these variable interest rates. Let's put it in context. What's your interest rate on your car loan if you have a car note, right? 8%, 9%, 10%. Let's put it in context. So now we're looking at home loans. Mortgages are now moving in that direction where it's going to be more costly to borrow. That means now we should be negotiating closing costs, which let's jump into the comments. Let's jump into the comments. All right, let's jump into the comments here. I'm going to bring this up real here. Zoom it up. Zoom. Wait. I want you guys to see the juice of what was happening in these comment section here. How do I look at it here? Okay. Can you read that? Hold on. I'm going to bring it all the way up. Ooh. I know. What am I doing? How do I move this thing over? It's like, oh, I'm screwing it up. Oh, here it is. Okay. I want you to see this. So this is CJ. He's one of my colleagues out here doing his thing. I'm gonna like my own post. Does anyone still like their own posts? I'm gonna care for it. I'm gonna love it. I'm gonna care for it. Care for my own posts. So we're talking about pricing and what's going on. Here's another colleague right here, right? He says, got an offer accepted a few days ago at asking with 3% seller concessions. Seller concessions means those closing cost credit, where now buyers are now in a position to be competitive and really now negotiate to their advantage. We're now seeing a trend. Yes, it's a trend, because I've got a couple offers that we're doing this. I'm coming below asking with 2% in closing costs, and listing agents are saying, we want to work with you. This is amazing to see this happen. 3 weeks ago, 6 weeks ago, there's no way I would ever be considered if I even offered something less than the asking, much less ask for closing costs. Oh no, honey, no. No, that was not the type of real estate that we were in. Now, here you have it. 4 days ago, CJ and I are communicating about this. And I said to him, kudos to you for asking. I said I got accepted at asking, and we just settled, meaning we negotiated after back and forth, but we were in escrow already. And I asked for my pie in the sky. Like I said, after my pie in the sky asked for the stars, I went in asking for everything representing my buyer client. And the seller says, hey, in good faith and wanting to keep the deal together, we don't want to lose you. We're willing to offer $1,500 towards closing costs. My client was already decided on buying this home and accepting it as is and all the terms going in. So she was good with it. She was like, hey, that's great. We'll take it. $1,500. We'll apply that towards a rate buy down, right? Because interest rates are doing something. So I encourage you to negotiate closing costs for rate buy downs if you're a buyer. Now, what does that mean for my homeowners as we are talking about this? What does that mean in terms of how much is your home worth today? Because let's go back here. That thing called phantom money. In fact, Obama's administration during the housing crisis, when the lenders said, oh, we've had to take a short sale and accept less than what they owe on the property, we want them to pay taxes to that, right? We want them to pay taxes. And the Obama administration California passed you've seen all kinds of stuff on my Facebook. I won't do that again, y'all. It's distracting. California passed an anti-deficiency act. And what that meant was, and why am I speaking about this, is because we're going to start entering a market potentially where people owe more than the property's worth. And the reason that will happen is because some people may have wrapped loans around their property to purchase it with first liens, second liens, or junior liens, PACE liens, HERO liens, SCEIP liens. What other there's different types of liens. Those down payment assistance programs are also liens, also known as junior liens. Franchise tax board liens as well. That means anything recorded against you as an owner starts to add up. And in a market that is shifting, will you have sufficient money to even close escrow? Will you have sufficient of a payoff, right? That's what we're talking about here. Is this thing called phantom money is what we're realizing has just poof. Phantom money. Shad says, love the topic today. Thank you. We've got to discuss it, right? Whether we're doing it openly, intimately with our circles, we are discussing this thing called phantom money and how we are watching. We are watching live. It's almost like the Johnny Depp and Amber Heard trial. And we're watching this unfold in front of our eyes, especially if you're active in this market and you're a listing broker like myself. You have to be on top of it and being strategic. Don't price homes too aggressive because you will hurt your client seller. You're going to do damage. Don't be too aggressive. Why? Because you have to know what is going on in your local market. What is happening, right? What do closing costs look like? And that's one of the things that's key for me. You can see I got all kinds of stuff that pop up over here. Let me just do this real quick and close out my Outlook because it's getting juicy. I really don't want you to see all my emails. All my emails coming through. I tell you, you saw and those emails were alerts. Those are alerts that I have actively set on markets. And this is why I can tell and see what's happening with the market adjusting. So how much is your home worth today? Not what it was worth 2 months ago. Not what it was worth last week, potentially. And that's what's could be heartbreaking for a lot of you. Shad says a sitting home is a home that loses leverage day after day. Absolutely. What do we call that, Shad? Days on market. This is why we're talking about it. Days on market. You have to know what your DOM is because you may prematurely do a price reduction when you really didn't have to, but you just got to know how to price and just be strategic. It's an ongoing conversation that we are having today. So, yes, you don't want to be sitting at a time when people are feeling the volatility of rate hikes. And I will put this in context, right? I just spoke with one of our lender partners this morning, and she's been trying to lock in at an optimum time, lock in the interest rate for our buyer client because rates were ideal on a Friday, last Friday. And then after the holiday, they went up, right? The Dow Jones was down. She says this is kind of in quoting her as she's watching the Dow Jones and the bond markets as it relates to interest rates. And so instead of the market improving in that window, the rates went up. And so now it costs more to get a certain rate. It's costing the client more. So now, as the borrower has to battle this and fight this out, especially for those who maybe didn't do rate locks at 45 days ago, didn't quite lock in the rates, because it costs to do all of that too, right? You don't know when you're going to get into escrow, and then you do all this, and then you go, do I risk it now, lock it in, it costs me, and then I have to do an extension, that costs me. These are things that buyers have to experience. And this is why, from a seller's perspective and putting it in context, that money you thought you would have had, $30,000, $50,000, $60,000, in this case, $100,000, is no more. That's not even a point of discussion, because the pandemic boom is softening. The pandemic boom is cooling. I also want to share with you, did you all read the announcement? Elon Musk is telling his employees, you return back to work. And if you don't come back to work, we will consider that your resignation. What does that do for the work from home economy that moved out of area 2 hours, 3 hours? Some of you, I know who you are. Some of you even moved out of state and bought properties out of state because you were like, oh, I can work from home. And then now your employer says, I want you home. I want you in the office 3 days at minimum a week. So if you live out of state, how exactly are you going to be coming to work 3 times a week? Is that practical? Is that feasible? Does that now make financial sense when you purchase the property out of area? Ooh, that's going to hurt. You see what I mean when I say this is going to hurt if you're not letting folks know. He's okay. So Saad said at Friday EOB, we were at a 1 month low regarding interest rates. Absolutely. That was last Friday. Yeah. That's the time we were talking and we were looking at that 1 month low. Thank you for that. And just for context, where are we now? Because I don't quote. I'm not a lender. Of course, you are, and you might be in that arena and dealing with rates all the time. What does one do now, right? Do you purchase the property and then you're constantly chasing a refinance, right? You're constantly chasing to get a lower rate. Or do you just set yourself up and get comfortable when you get your foot in the door, which is usually what I like to let my clients know, because refinances, depending on who you go with, costs you every time. It costs you. Some banks say, oh, we won't charge you fees. We won't charge an appraisal. Well, no appraisal necessary. All these other creative things that they were happening. But we are noticing that mortgage applications are down. We know some of the big banks who were doing loans have let go a good portion of their staff. Why? Because there's no longer a need for the staff to do mortgages, because the volume is no longer there. The volume is no longer there. There's not that significant of a refinance happening now. That's cool. It's cooled down. All right. Shah's dropping some tips for us here. 5.25 to 5.5. 6 months ago, we were in the 2s and 3s. Timing is everything. That is facts. We're at 5.25 today to 5.5%. And guess what? Does that sound very familiar from a couple years ago? Some of you know, right? And some of you took advantage to refinance at these 2s and 3s, like the rest of the country. But now we have a new pool of folks that are now facing this 5.25, 5.5 rates. They're looking to be at least 6%. They're already, like I said, they're giving us clues and cues that there will be rate hikes to come, more to come. Because when you look at it from that standpoint, from a monetary policy as well, there weren't many people making money on their CDs and their savings account with rates being so low. And I've said this for quite some time. Rates can only go in one direction from here. We were at 2 points. I mean, don't get me started on what those adjustables were. Shad, what weren't adjustables like 1.8 or something? Like it was less than 2 points. If you took an adjustable, it was something crazy low. But there was no need to do adjustable rate mortgages either, right? Because if you have a fixed rate mortgage at 2.25, 2.875, I mean, still less than 3%, that was still phenomenal. So I wanted to put this in context today because we're watching it happen. It's like watching the trial, and it's going down, y'all. It is really. I now send an offer, and the response I'm getting is, honestly, I don't have any offers. Huh? So all these pool of buyers that I've been working with that had to take a pause and now have a shot. Yes. Shad says arms were 1.25, 1.5%. Facts. No real need to do them when the fixed was also low. Exactly. You imagine, Shad, I would say from that perspective, as we're seeing these interest rate hikes, people forget how history repeats itself. So guess what happens? Now we're facing 5.25. Someone is marketed an adjustable rate mortgage to get their foot in the door to afford the $699 house, the $700,000 house, whatever it is, depending what your markets are, 400, 500. You're now marketed to get an adjustable rate mortgage because the rate will be not 5%. It will be something like a teaser rate of 2 to 3 points. I don't know what it is today, right? And then you say, yeah, I'll do that, because they say to you, well, let's ride this out, get your foot in the door, do that for 2 to 3 years, depending on the adjustable term, and then refinance. And then quote, this is not advice again. I'm just telling you, this is oftentimes how I hear this being presented and marketed, and then refinance later, right? And so if we do that and we see more people taking that on, guess what we just did? We now will position ourselves for the very same symptoms and factors that created the housing bust back in 2008. Shad, go. He says people are now asking about arms now. Go figure. See, I don't even do loans. How did I know this was coming? He says people are now asking about ARMs, again, adjustable rate mortgages. He says now, for the first time in years, he said, I had to train my newbies on how to sell them, especially because, right, Shad, now, see, during the Obama administration, and we had all these acts come into play to protect consumers with understanding adjustable rate mortgages. Notice that when you do them, the font is now bigger. It's a lot bigger than everything else. And it says in font, what is it? Font 16, 18. This is an adjustable rate mortgage. I recall when I first got into the industry, I was a loan signing agent before I jumped full throttle into doing real estate as a salesperson. And as a notary, I recall how that form and the disclosures changed over time because people were not really understanding the pick a payment. You got to pick which payment. And if you picked the lower payment, that means you now were going into a negative amortization. So in that instance, how much is your home worth? That means you now owe more than what it's worth. Oh yeah, I see all kinds of things happening right now. This is why I just wanted to get on and just kind of shout you all out and keep you in the forefront of what's going on. He's out here laughing. He's like written in all caps. He's like written in all caps, right? Font 1618. It's like something large. This is an adjustable rate mortgage. And we are speaking in context of what are now the alternatives to higher interest rates? Well, you have a lender here, Shad Hammond here, has been connecting with us and kind of affirming what I'm saying he's saying it's happening already. I was saying it was going to happen more often, and he's saying it's already going down. You will have more buyers taking on adjusted rate mortgages in this current market as we are adjusting. Because, back when our folks purchased back in 1994, whatever, believe it or not, interest rates were 10%. My folks picked up their property in an adjustable rate mortgage, eventually paid that off. It worked for them because let's put this in context. Those products were ideal for people, self-employed entrepreneurs whose income fluctuated throughout the year. Sometimes they made more money than other times, and it allowed them the flexibility to choose which mortgage payment or how much they wanted to send without being subject to a default, meaning not paying your mortgage on time. Okay. Any comments, questions? I think we're good. I think you get the gist of what's happening here. All right. If you definitely found any of this information helpful today, make sure you press 1. You let me know you're here. 2, lets me know you shared it. Hit that mic drop emoji in the caption. And listen, you got to stay on top of what is going on right now, because this is like breaking news type situation, right? This is breaking news. Okay. Shad says you were dead on today. The market is shifting right before our eyes. And oh yeah, my parents purchased in 1989 with a 12.5% rate. Wow. Wow. Context is everything, is it not? Context is everything. Shad, I appreciate you for your support comments. As a industry professional, I'd like to give you a thank you. Drop me a DM of your address. We'll send you a Ready Set Real Estate 15-ounce mug for your support and just giving us those rates and just helping people understand in context, what does it mean when we say, how much is your home worth today? Because it's definitely not what it was worth 2 months ago. All right. With that, I say have a powerful and productive week. We'll see you next week on another information-packed episode of Ready, Set, Real Estate. Recall, our normal show time is Wednesdays at 11 a.m. But, the market is doing what it's doing. I was so tied up. There's no way I could have did it live yesterday. So we did it today. And I thank you for joining us. We'll see you next week.